Hey everyone, if you've ever seen those bank screens lighting up headlines and wondered whether your wallet could suddenly feel the heat, stick around because this is one of those moments where the buzz is real. The speculation is thick and the stakes are higher than ever. I'm talking about the latest around the Iraqi Dinar, IQD, and the Vietnamese Dong, VND. Yes, those currencies you keep seeing in online forums, whispers and RV news posts, and today we're going to dig deep into whether there's any substance behind the hype of the dinar hitting 4.04 and the Dong facing a potential revaluation that could shake things up. But first, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because this channel brings you the latest on currency revaluations, forex movements, and global investment insights. So don't miss what's coming next. Now let's jump in. The idea that the Iraqi dinar could suddenly jump to 4.04 has sparked an explosion of posts. Videos and screens are lighting up predictions. But let's pause and inspect what the data actually tells us. According to credible analysis, there is no public authority backing a dramatic overnight revaluation of the Iraqi dinar in 2025. EBC Financial Group plus to IraqBusinessNews.com plus 2. In other words, while the rumors are loud, the fundamentals remain anchored in caution. Iraq's economy is heavily tied to oil exports and political stability, with debt, liquidity, exposure to regional risk, and structural reform all playing heavy roles. X transfer plus 1. The main takeaway here, yes, the dinar is a currency worth watching, but the idea that it will miraculously flip to 4.04 per unit without major restructuring is very unlikely according to experts. On the Dong side, we're seeing a similar story. Lots of chatter about revaluation, 50 cents headlines, or massive move, but dig a little deeper and the narrative becomes more measured. The US dollar index is expected to stay elevated through 2025, and that puts serious pressure on the Dong rather than making it ripe for a wind-up surge. Vietnam Vietnam Investment Review, VR plus 2. Vietnam is still managing its currency closely, using interventions and policy tools to keep stability rather than announcing sudden revaluations. The notion that the Dong will instantly shoot up and make ordinary holders rich is, according to reliable sources, more speculative than fact. BTCC plus 1. So if you've been watching your forums and whisper chains for the bank screens lighting up, here's what you should keep in mind. These narratives can drive hype, but hype does not equal certainty. Stay tuned, stay alert, and let's now move on to exactly what to watch for, what the triggers might be, and how you, for everyday viewers like you and me, should interpret what's going on in the markets. Now, let's get into the specifics of how these two currencies, IQD and VND, are behaving right now, what the key indicators are, and how that might impact your investment thinking. Starting again with the Iraqi dinar. Current publicly available data show the USD-IQD exchange rate has been essentially unchanged recently, reflecting stability rather than a surge. Trading economics plus 1. Remember, one of the big problems for the RV crowd is that the dinar is not widely traded on major global forex markets. It is thin, liquid, and heavily controlled. Investopedia plus 1. That means the kind of overnight explosion to 4.04 would require a dramatic and sustained shift in Iraq's foreign reserves, oil revenues, political reform, and international treaty commitments. And while Iraq has potential, reserves backed partially by oil, projected growth of around 4.1% in 2025 by the IMF, for instance, ex-transfer, it remains heavily exposed to oil price swings, regional instability, and structural constraints. So for a viewer holding or watching dinar speculation, the practical takeaway is, this may be a long-term view, not tomorrow morning you're rich scenario. On the Vietnamese Dong side, the story is slightly different, but the caution flag is still raised. Vietnam has been managing its exchange rate with prudence. The Dong continues to face upward pressure due to the strong US dollar, export-driven economy, and elevated global risk. Vietnam plus, LAN. Analysts anticipate some upward move in USD VND relative terms, but not necessarily a dramatic revaluation overnight. In fact, one report says the exchange rate might rise by around 3% in 2025, reflecting mild movement rather than explosive jump. Vietnam Investment Review, VIR. Also, the notion of using the Dong as a speculative revalue and get-rich vehicle is treated with caution by experts. One article explicitly warns that treating VND revaluation like a get-rich scheme is risky. RNZ plus 1. So, if you're watching the Dong, ask yourself, what specific reforms, what official policy change, what credible intervention is being announced? Because the screens lighting up headlines often skip those details. For both currencies, key triggers to monitor would include shifts in central bank policy, major oil revenue uptake for Iraq, major changes to foreign exchange regulation for Vietnam, or credible statements by governments to central banks about restructuring currency regimes. Without those, you remain in the realm of speculation. As your YouTube host, I always stress, don't base your financial future on hype alone. Look at liquidity, regulation, ease of conversion, and realistic time frames. If you're thinking, should I buy Dinar now or Dong now, the responsible answer is, if you do so as part of a diversified strategy, understand the risk is high, and never commit more than you can comfortably lose. All right? Let's now wrap up with what to do next, how to keep informed, and how to act cautiously yet opportunistically. To finish this off, here are your action steps, your caution flags, and how to stay ahead of the curve as the bank screen's lighting up narrative continues to swirl around the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong. First, and very important, subscribe to broadcast sources, central bank announcements, and reputable financial news outlets, not just forums or social media claim posts. If you see official statements from the Central Bank of Iraq or the State Bank of Vietnam about reforming exchange rate frameworks, relaxing convertibility, or removing pegs, then you have a meaningful data point. Until then, treat impulsive headlines like 4 Dinar or Dong revalue to 50 cents with a heavy dose of skepticism, because experts remain unconvinced that such dramatic moves are imminent. For your part, if you are tracking or holding either currency, keep an eye on your exit plan, your overall portfolio exposure, and how these assets fit into your broader investing goals. Don't place them in your emergency funds or count on them as a sure windfall. Make them a speculative piece of your strategy, if at all, not the foundation. On the timing side, there's no definitive RV date announced for either currency. So avoid making urgent high-risk moves based solely on screens lighting up claims. Instead, monitor for actual triggers. Oil price surges, major reform packages in Iraq, major trade or currency policy shifts in Vietnam. If you see those, that's when the story may change from hype to genuine. In the meantime, use this channel as your watchdog. We'll monitor upcoming announcements, track exchange rates, and critically evaluate claims. If you found this video useful, hit like, share this with anyone you know who's watching Dinar or Dong speculation, comment below your thoughts. Do you believe either currency will revalue in 2025? Why or why not? And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss future updates. Thanks for watching, stay informed, stay cautious, and I'll see you in the next video.